Hello and welcome to National Focus. I am Octavia Prosper. In the headlines, school to reopen in September, Dominica records its 19th COVID-19 case, and multi-purpose emergency shelter to be constructed in Salibert constituency. Details of the headline stories and more when we return. Welcome back. Dominica has recorded one new COVID-19 case, bringing the total of confirmed cases to 19. This was announced at a press briefing held on Thursday, August 20, 2020, by the Ministry of Health, Wellness and New Health Investment. National epidemiologist Dr. Charlene Ahmed says the new case is an imported one.
We have now an additional confirmed case of COVID-19. The total number of COVID cases is now 19. The recent confirmed case is an imported case. He is a British national. He arrived in Dominica on August 10. Prior to arrival, he had 2 PCR done and which were negative. On arrival, the rapid test was conducted and it was negative as well. He was on home quarantine for the most part. Currently, he is asymptomatic, and he has been asymptomatic all through his quarantine phase. He was admitted to the COVID center last night, and he will be monitored for next 14 days at the COVID center. Contact tracing is ongoing.
Dr. Ahmed also gave an overview of the current statistics as it relates to COVID-19 on the island.
As it stands, total number of confirmed cases, 19. Total active cases, 1. Total recovered cases, 18. Total number of deaths, 0. Total number of PCR tests conducted so far as of today, 1,938. Total number of negative PCR results so far, 1,919. Total number of travelers came to Dominica since July 15 to July 20 today, roughly about 690 travelers. And of them, one is positive.
The full press conference will be played directly after National Focus. The Ministry of Education, Human Resource Planning, Vocational Training and National Excellence has announced the official date for the commencement of the 2020-2021 academic year. Minister for Education, Human Resource Planning, Vocational Training and National Excellence, Honorable Octavia Alfred says students will return to school on September 7, 2020.
Subject to adequate consideration by the Ministry of Health, Wellness and New Health Investment, and taking everything into account, all schools will be open for teachers on September 1st, 2020, and for all students on Monday, September 7th, 2020. So from September 1st, staff will engage in final preparations to receive students. Teachers will be engaged in professional staff development, training, and planning.
The minister says planning for the reopening of this school year is completely different from previous years due to new mandatory procedures which will be followed.
This school year planning is even more essential than before, since teachers and their department heads must review curriculum and prepare for pre-testing activities, which will be very crucial this year. These pre-testing activities will guide our remedial program or programs which will be necessary before moving ahead. Schools will have to also engage in what we call curriculum mapping, which should mostly be horizontal or spiral, so that they ensure that students have the previous knowledge necessary to move forward. And this must be done since some of our students, due to limitations in necessities for online learning and due to lack of supervision by parents, they missed out some in third term and some in second term. So this year planning is even more necessary.
Teachers and heads of departments, however, will return to the various educational institutions from September 1st to prepare for the students' return.
During September 1st to 4th, we'll also be doing a lot of cleaning and rearranging of furniture, which will be done to ensure that everything is in place. Some places you might have to install some more water troughs and extra hand washing stations to make sure things are just that are necessary are in place.
Meantime, Assistant Chief Education Officer Dr. Jeffrey Blaise says one of the main goals this term is to ensure the students are taught the proper safety protocols implemented by the Ministry of Health.
We'll also be engaging teachers in terms of preparing the classrooms for the reentry of students in terms of sanitization effectiveness and sensitizations on the guidelines and protocols for the students being at school, because obviously there are some protocols we have to put in place to ensure that students are safe within the classroom context. We are also going to be doing some training with Israel Aid related to COVID and some of the discussion around the issue of having school amidst, the whole threat of COVID, because we have to adequately prepare our teachers and our students for working in as normal an environment as possible.
Mr. Blaise says focus will also be placed on the psychosocial element of students who may have been affected by COVID-19.
Another critical element of our preparation is the psychosocial intervention for students, because we know that many students who were at home during the third term and they did not get as much time to and the COVID experience may have impacted them. So therefore we have to prepare our teachers so that when the students return to school, they will be able to do at least some time of psychosocial intervention with them to see what are the challenges that students may have faced, or what are the fears, the inhibitions of students that will impact on their learning, and our guidance counselors will be assisting in that regard.
The education officer says in addition to the academic training, teachers will also be trained to identify changes in a student's behavior which may affect his or her academic performance.
During the training in the week prior to school opening, we will be ensuring that teachers are not only ready for teaching, but are very, very astute in terms of identifying challenges in students. So for instance, if a student is quiet and may not be responding as much, then you probably would have to engage that student to see what may be some of the causes, or if a student is overactive. So there are certain identifiers, some signals that may be displayed by students that would trigger a response in that regard.
One of the major projects carried for this financial year is the rehabilitation of the East Coast Road, funded by the World Bank and being implemented by the Disaster Vulnerability Reduction Project, DVRP. A contract in the amount of $126.8 million has been awarded for the rehabilitation of approximately 30 kilometers of road from Bradiab to Cassibrus and through the Kalinago territory into the Hatton Garden.
This project is expected to commence in August 2020 and will include the construction of new bridges, drainage systems, road widening and straightening, and new road surfaces. I wish to point out to this Honorable House that out of the $126.8 million, $79 million will be spent in the Salibia constituency alone, member for Salibia. This investment in the road network will certainly enhance and indeed increase economic activity in the East generally, especially in the Cassibrus and Salibia constituencies.
Other interventions which will be undertaken is the rehabilitation of at least one road in each constituency under the Community Road Enhancement Project Phase 2.
The overall cost of the project is estimated at $14.9 million. Government will also undertake restoration works, including construction of retaining walls and road reinstatement at Bells, Cabanis, and along the Warner Road.
Prime Minister Skerrit also announced that a robust national water system will be constructed in this fiscal year to offer quality service to the public. Government will look at completing the upgrades to Water Area 1 and commence work on the Bacatel and Mont Prosper water supply projects, as well as the Benz Intake and Access Road Rehabilitation Project.
In this fiscal year, the Water Sector Strategic Development Plan, which will look at the holistic improvement of the resilience of the water sector, including upgrading the infrastructure and capacity of Duwasco, is expected to be completed. This important project is funded by the government of the United Kingdom, and we express our sincere gratitude to the United Kingdom for the extraordinary partnership demonstrated to our country, Dominica. Mr. Speaker, interventions to build resilience in the island's water systems will begin on the new Roseau Valley Water Supply Project, supply improvement to Trafalgar, Stratford, Hockaney, Copthall, Wharton Waven. The East Coast Water Project, Phase 1, supply to Mont Jean and River Syrique from Grand Fond. The West Coast Water Project, where Portsmouth and Salisbury water supply will be augmented, the Castlebruce water supply, and the Calibishi water supply.
6 sites have been approved by the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, Low Carbon Development Path Project Intervention. These sites are the Sensory Resource Center, the Dominica Infirmary, Mount Ratchet Emergency Resource Center, Isaiah Thomas Secondary School, Portsmouth Secondary School, and the Sansovia Primary School. This project will be implemented by government and funded by the Global Environment Facility. The government of Dominica is partnering with the Caribbean Development Bank to construct a multi-purpose emergency shelter for the Kalinago territory. This shelter will comprise of 760 square meters, and Member of Parliament for the Salibert constituency, Honorable Cozy Frederick, says the designs for this building will represent the architecture of the Kalinago people.
The emergency facility will serve dual purposes of both community space for meetings and activities, as well as an emergency shelter to house 125 people. In addition to the resilient features, the facility will have all amenities of a modern emergency shelter. Mr. Speaker, this facility will therefore complement the new hurricane resilient homes being constructed by the government through the Ministry of Housing. Mr. Speaker, an amount of a little over $500,000 has been made available in this budget for preliminary works, Mr. Speaker, and the Caribbean Development Bank committed $1.6 million.
Attorney General Honorable Levi Peter says Dominica is now in a better place in terms of healthcare. Honorable Peter says government is currently constructing numerous smart health facilities across the island, and the second phase of the Dominica China Friendship Hospital is progressing smoothly.
We have also seen, Mr. Speaker, tremendous development in the field of health, the expanding modernization of our health facilities. These have been spoken about by the previous speakers. The progress in the modernization and construction of the Dominica China Friendship Hospital, the numerous health clinics, some deemed to be smart and others perhaps less so, but all, Mr. Speaker, designed to improve the health of the nation.
The Attorney General says the establishment of the National Health Commission will improve the health sector greatly.
The National Health Commission, in its work, which I understand its full report will be delivered a little later this year, shortly. But in its work, it has identified and the need for legislation, and the Chambers of the Attorney General has been effective in assisting with several bills required to enable the vision for health sector reform, or the rollout of the health sector reform program, to take effect. And I name a few: the medical profession bill, the nursing profession bill, the hospital authority bill, and the pharmacy bill.
You're watching National Focus. More when we return.
Scary. Everything just shaking and making big creaky noises.
Earthquakes, big and small, take place in the Caribbean at least 10 times a year.
The dishes rattling and falling and breaking. Then Vanna started to scream.
All I could think to do was shout, "Get outside, get out!"
Earthquakes, hazards. Take control. Reduce your loss. If an earthquake hits, what can you do? Get down. Get under an item of furniture like a table. Hold on and stay there until the quake passes. Find out lots more about earthquakes and other hazards at your local disaster office. A message from your National Disaster Office and Sidera.
Welcome back. At the end of this month, over 100 individuals will be moving into their brand new homes in Jimit. This as government continues to provide housing for the people of Dominica, and all constituencies are being touched by the housing revolution. Government continues to reaffirm its commitment to Dominicans for the modernization of housing in Dominica and building resilience in the housing sector.
I went there with my team, wonderful shower, wonderful two washrooms, and the place looked lovely and a wonderful view. The best view in the Dominica can be found in the Jimmy area.
The Member of Parliament says the people of Massac will also benefit from government's housing program as land has been identified for the construction of apartments.
The difficulty we had in Massac, or we have in Massac, we do not have crown land or state land. We went all the way up under Live Lacroix. That land is not suitable to build housing for people, dwelling houses for people. We have now found a nice site, and the owner is willing to sell, and we shall be putting, listen well, the people of Massac, we shall be putting 40 hurricane-proof, wonderful houses for you, the people of Massac, because of the Dominica Labour Party.
Minister Blackmore also spoke of the latest infrastructural developments ongoing in that constituency. Minister Blackmore informed that this month the new Mao Health Center will be opened to the public.
We will be moving in that same month to a brand new mini hospital in Maho. Thank you, Minister for Health. Our own pharmacy, our own doctors, living quarters for nurses, or beds to overnight. I want to spend a night there. This is so beautiful. And the list continues, Mr. Speaker. And because most of the persons who have underlying health conditions, are people who are the elderly persons, the Hill will be placing a tremendous, strain on them. So we're going to cut a road from Back Street into the new facility. We have started, we have begun. I'm speaking with the owner of the land, and she's saying, I'm from Mao, Pareb, that's my government, I'm willing to help. So this place is going to be beautiful, and thank you very much to the Labour Party administration.
President of the Dominica Olympic Committee, Mr. Billy Doctrove, believes that every successful athlete needs a good coach. Speaking on GIS in the studio program, Mr. Doctrove explained that coaching is important in the improvement of sports in Dominica, and the Dominica Olympic Committee has plans in place to develop Dominica's coaching strategies.
Over the past 8 months, we have been working with UWI, and I really want to thank Dr. Joseph and Dr. Kazimi in UWI. We have had 2 coaching programs in collaboration with UWI for coaches in Dominica, and we are hoping to have another one in September with 41 coaches, and I think that will go a long way in improving the coaching standards and capability of our coaches here, because without proper coaching, no matter how much we try, our athletes or sportsmen and women will not be able to fulfill their full potential. So we really want to focus, we have really been focusing on those areas of coaching.
Mr. Doctrove also highlights other means of improving the quality of sports in Dominica. He made significant mention of education in schools on sports icons and their achievements in Dominica.
We have to try and identify like heroes, icons in sports, so that the young persons coming through can identify with those persons. We have had success or successful people in sports, but I don't think those people are adequately recognized by authorities and generally the public in Dominica. So you'll find that if we go down the line to talk about sporting persons who have been very successful in sports, if you go to a lot of young persons and ask them about those persons, they will not know. So I think that we have to try and incorporate that kind of education in our school system.
The DOC president stresses on the importance of sports and the impact it has on lives and a country. Mr. Doctrove says the advancement of sports infrastructure and facilities in Dominica will contribute towards sports development. Project manager from the International Organization for Migration, IOM, Mrs. Maxine Allen Esprit says the IOM continues to work with the Dominica Youth Business Trust to keep young entrepreneurs in Dominica. Mrs. Esprit, who was speaking at a project launched on Thursday, August 6, 2020, says under the project, the IOM Development Fund will continue assisting young entrepreneurs to give them an incentive to remain in Dominica.
We know that in Dominica, we have a small population and we have been experiencing net outward migration over the past years, at least a decade, if not more. And so this project, IOM, under the IOM Development Fund, is giving support to the Dominica Youth Business Trust to increase their capacity to support young entrepreneurs, to basically encourage them, provide an encouraging environment so that they will not be so motivated to take their skills, their ideas, their innovation, their entrepreneurship, their energies, and move to another country where they will be contributing to that country's economy. We want to try to keep as many young entrepreneurs here as possible, and maybe even to be part of attracting entrepreneurs from other countries to come to Dominica, because we have such a strong, this is the vision, we have such a strong entrepreneurial support system in Dominica.
Mrs. Esprit says the IOM is happy that through the DYBT, they were able to assist young entrepreneurs.
We are trying to contribute to stemming the net outward migration through this particular project. Now, the project has had three main components. It's a 2-year project which started last year, 2019. And it has had three major components. One has been to help to strengthen the training capacity. So for instance, you just heard from 2 entrepreneurs and from the DYBT team speaking about the migration, nice word, about the adaptation to COVID-19, right? And the migration of the training programs to an online platform. And so that is one of the things that we were very happy to be able to help to support. It speaks to the resilience of the Dominica Youth Business Trust and the adaptability of them, and it provides an excellent example for the entrepreneurs who they interact with their entrepreneurial clients, as to how you need to revision and react quickly to changing circumstances.
Project coordinator of the Strengthening the Disaster Management Capacity of Women in the Cooperative Republic of Guyana and the Commonwealth of Dominica project, Sawana Fabian says collaboration with local institutions is required for the project to succeed. The project is a result of a collaboration between the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, and the Division of Agriculture, and is a 3-year project aimed at enhancing the capacity of farmers in preparing for and managing the impact of disasters. Ms. Fabian, who was speaking at the launching of an introductory gender awareness workshop at the Public Service Union building on Wednesday, August 12, says they will be working with numerous organizations such as local government and the Office of Disaster Management, ODM.
Some of our key stakeholders are, of course, critical, the Division of Agriculture, and of course, you, the Extension Officers, as Mr. Leslie rightly stated. We have some departments from the Social Services, which would be like Cooperatives Development Division, Bureau of Gender Affairs, local government and community development. Of course, we understand the link they have with disasters. The Office of Disaster Management, the Dominica Meteorological Services, as we know, we're dealing with climatic data, and they are the ones who publish those bulletins that supports farmers with agroclimatic information. So they will be very critical in the the execution of the project itself.
Ms. Fabian says collaboration among all stakeholders is needed if real resilience is to be obtained.
I believe that some of the tenets, of resilience is collective action, shared responsibility, and I believe that the way things are set up in terms of the project and in terms of your commitment. I believe that all of us, if we put our best foot forward, we will achieve the outcomes of the project.
And now for your weather update.
A flood warning is in effect for Dominica as of 12 noon today, Friday, 21st August 2020 to 6 p.m. A flood warning means that flooding is already occurring or is expected to occur within the warning period. Rain bands extending from Tropical Storm Laura is presently moving across Dominica, producing moderate to heavy shower activity. This activity is expected to persist over the island this afternoon into tonight, resulting in rainfall accumulations of 1 to 3 inches or 25 to 75 millimeters, with possible higher amounts in elevated areas. Thus, a flood warning will remain in effect until 6 p.m. today, Friday, August 21st, 2020. This warning may be further extended should conditions become necessary. Residents in flood-prone areas and areas prone to landslides should remain on the alert and take the necessary precautions.
And that's all for this edition of National Focus. Be sure to follow GIS Dominica on Facebook, YouTube, as well as on Twitter. You can also drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm. From all of us here on the GIS News Production team, I am Octavia Prosper. Thanks for watching and have a great weekend.